Imagine a little girl who believes that every sad soul can be healed with a single, thoughtful gift. Now picture a hardened CEO who measures life only in quarterly reports, and a single dad who mops her marble floors at midnight. Tonight, one tiny present will crash their worlds together, and what happens next will restore your faith in pure, unfiltered kindness. Midnight wraps the city in chilled neon, and Brightstar Tower pierces the sky with an ivory glow. On the top floor, Eleanor Whitmore closes a leather-bound folder, the final signature of her cost-cutting crusade drying in crimson ink. The yearly charity toy drive erased with one decisive stroke. She exhales, switches off her desk lamp, and the room shrinks to the glow of monitors and the glittering skyline outside the glass. For Eleanor, the only language worth speaking is profit. Compassion is a line item she no longer affords. Across town, the last bulb in a cramped apartment flickers, illuminating Lucas Reed as he spreads the final smear of peanut butter onto bread. He tucks a note into his daughter's star-splashed lunchbox. Gifts make sad people happy. Love, Dad. 7-year-old Mia, barefoot, clutches a rag doll stitched from Lucas's old work shirts. Dad, do you think Mom can still see us? She whispers. Lucas kneels, brushing a stray curl from her eyes. Every time you help someone smile, she's smiling too. The wall clock clicks past 12:07 a.m. He lifts Mia over one shoulder, slings a dented backpack over the other, and locks their door behind them. The hallway smells of cold pipes and shared dreams. Moments later, Brightstar's marble lobby yawns open. Eleanor strides through, heels soft against polished stone, security guard nodding as an elevator waits, doors parting before she reaches them. Around a service corner, Lucas slips inside a freight entrance, swiping a battered ID card. Fluorescent lights buzz. A grimy punch clock stamps his time. He settles Mia on a padded janitor's cart, drapes his jacket around her, and presses play on a scuffed pair of headphones. A distant voice drones, Supply Chain Management, Chapter 1. Two elevators move in opposite directions, one a silent silver capsule floating upward, one rattling downward through the building's iron ribs. Eleanor emerges onto the executive floor. Plush carpet hushes her footsteps. She pauses by a glass display case featuring Brightstar's signature plush bear, posed with a tiny golden star. The tag line beneath, delivering smiles worldwide. A sliver of irony glints in her eyes before she strides on, gaze already fixed on glowing data lines. Several stories below, mop water sloshes in Lucas's bucket, catching the reflection of flickering fluorescent tubes. He hums a lullaby to keep Mia gently dreaming, steering the bucket like a ship through a sea of linoleum. Each stroke of the mop echoes against cinder-block walls, ghostly and faithful. High above, Eleanor studies graphs forecasting record-breaking margins. Far below, Lucas listens to a podcast lecture about warehouse optimization he hopes will one day propel him out of these corridors. Two souls orbit the same concrete pillar, yet inhabit separate planets of worry and want. They share only the quiet conviction that tomorrow must be better than today. The night deepens, streetlights blink like distant constellations, and somewhere between the penthouse glass and maintenance dust, destiny slips a slender thread through the eye of a ragdoll's needle. One child's belief in the healing power of a gift has already begun stitching their worlds together, though neither the CEO nor the janitor senses the gentle tug. The city keeps humming, the clock's second hand marches on, and the first unseen domino leans, ready to fall. Eleanor's chauffeur eases the sleek town car through pre-dawn streets glazed with rain. City lights smear across the window, and Eleanor rests her forehead against the cool glass, eyes half closed. A melody scratches at the edge of her memory, a lullaby an older foster kid once hummed to calm her when nightmares clawed the dark. She forces the sound away and unlocks her phone to a barrage of emails. Board memos, market alerts, an automated HR blast titled, "Take Your Child to Work Day, Tomorrow." She almost deletes it, but her thumb stalls. For a fraction of a second, she imagines a little hand in hers, a giggle echoing down the glass corridors of power. The ache that follows is immediate and unwelcome. She marks the email read, tucks the phone in her bag, and retreats into the armor of numbers. Lucas pushes the janitor's cart into the supply closet, careful not to jostle Mia, still curled beneath his jacket. He checks his cracked phone, one new message from HR, same subject line. He smiles softly. Maybe bringing Mia for one daytime shift could double as an adventure and a solution to childcare he can't afford. He thumbs a reply seeking permission, hits send, then scrolls back to an email thread with the family court clerk. Another reminder that he must show proof of steady daytime income if he wants broader custody rights. He pockets the phone, sighs, and returns to mopping. Hours slip by. Gray dawn seeps through basement vents and Lucas wheels Mia outside. They ride the bus home with construction workers and nurses ending graveyard shifts. At their stop, he hefts her onto his hip. She stirs, blinking at the cloudy sky. He kisses her forehead. "Pancakes before school?" She nods, half asleep, trusting her world is safe in his arms. In her penthouse loft, Elena stands alone at a marble counter, spooning protein powder into a blender. No framed photos, no children's scribbles on the fridge. She lifts her eyes to the panoramic window. The city sprawls like a map of victories she refuses to admit feel hollow. She remembers the last time she received a gift, age 8, foster home, Christmas morning. A volunteer had handed her a teddy bear with one lopsided ear. She loved it fiercely until another child stole it the same afternoon. Loss taught her a lesson. Possessions disappear, but ambition can't be taken. She cleans the blender, erasing every drop like a crime scene. Lucas flips pancakes, humming the lullaby he once sang to Mia's mother when chemo kept her awake. Plates clatter, syrup drips. Mia laughs as the ragdoll tastes maple off a tiny cloth tongue. Lucas snaps a picture. Caption, "Fueling up for big dreams." He almost posts it to social media, but worries about pity comments, so he saves it just for himself. Eleanor's driver returns her to headquarters just before 9. In the lobby, she nods to employees swarm not signing past the fountain shaped like the Bright Star logo. A junior exec rushes over with reports and casually mentions the charity line item she cut. Shareholders will love it. Eleanor forces a thin smile no one can decode, then strides to the elevator, pressing the button so hard her finger aches. Lucas arrives at Mia's elementary school for pickup, work boots dusty, button-down borrowed from a thrift shop. The teacher beams at his surprise daytime appearance. Mia skips into his arms wielding a permission slip. "Tomorrow, Bright Star field trip. Parents welcome." Lucas laughs at the coincidence, pockets the paper, and whispers, "Looks like you're coming to work with me after all." Her eyes widen, bright as sunrise. Late that night, Elena reviews quarterly projections alone in the boardroom. Her reflection stares back from the polished table, impeccable, untouchable, and utterly isolated. She reaches into her purse for lip balm and instead fingers something small, the plush bear keychain from the company's original charity campaign, a relic she keeps without knowing why. She squeezes it once, then sets it face down and slides the charity spreadsheet aside. Lucas tucks Mia into bed, smoothing the ragdoll's yarn hair. Moonlight stripes the room. He opens a shoebox at the closet's top shelf. Inside, a community college brochure, a half-finished scholarship essay, and a Polaroid of him and his late wife at a county fair, faces painted like tigers. He whispers, "I'm still trying, Claire," and closes the box. Both lie awake on opposite ends of privilege, sensing an unnamed change in the air. The city settles into silence, but tomorrow barrels toward them. One day that will crack open every buried memory, every carefully built wall, with the simple, undefeatable power of a child's desire to give. Sunrise pours gold over Bright Star Tower, the only morning in the year when children's laughter bounces down its elevator shafts. In the lobby, Backpacks bump against marble columns, neon sneakers squeak on polished floors, and wide-eyed questions ricochet off the stone like birds set free too early. Lucas squeezes Mia's hand while they wait at the service elevator. He swapped his night shift polo for a borrowed button-down, hoping no one notices the name badge in his pocket that still reads custodial. In her other hand, Mia guards a shoebox wrapped in brown paper and tied with a single purple ribbon. "Remember, Peanut, stay close," he whispers. "I will," she promises. "I made this for someone who looks like they forgot how to smile. I'll know them when I see them." Across the lobby, executives herd their own children toward a roped-off elevator that rises only to the top floors. A security guard scans the crowd, barking instructions. Lucas feels eyes lingering on his scuffed boots, but keeps his focus on Mia's excitement. 40 stories above, Eleanor Whitmore paces outside the main boardroom, tablet aglow with a countdown. 15 minutes until the investor presentation. An assistant assures her that children are barred from level 47. The floor is clear. Eleanor nods, suppressing a sigh of relief before stepping into the conference room, where the city skyline frames a long table of sharp-suited investors. Mid-building, Mia spots a bright green crayon rolling across the tiles, a runaway from some other child's art kit. She drops her gift, chases the crayon, and watches it skid into an executive elevator just as the doors start to close. "Mia, wait," Lucas calls, but the doors seal with a polite chime, swallowing the child and her shoebox. He sprints to security, voice cracking, "My daughter, she just went up alone." "What floor?" the guard asks, already frowning at the custodial badge Lucas presses against the glass. Inside the gleaming elevator, Mia's reflection multiplies until it feels like a room full of little girls watching her journey. Numbers climb: 35, 40, 44, 47. The doors part to reveal plush carpet, walls of abstract art, and a hush so thick it feels forbidden. Heart pounding, she steps out. Through a cracked boardroom door, she sees rows of adults in impeccable suits. Eleanor sits at the head of the table, skyscrapers glittering behind her. Colored graphs flash like fireworks on a screen. A voice inside says, "They look sad." Taking a breath, she nudges the heavy doors fully open. Conversations halt mid-sentence. Jaws hang at the sight of a 7-year-old intruder in pink sneakers. "Excuse me, ma'am," she begins, voice trembling yet brave. "You look like you forgot how to smile. I made you something." She sets the shoebox on the gleaming table, sliding it across polished wood toward Eleanor. Eleanor's composure ripples. The rag doll peeks from beneath brown paper, flannel stitched from worn shirts, button eyes shining with stubborn hope. For a heartbeat, forgotten Christmas mornings flood her mind. A foster home hallway, a donated teddy bear, the moment it was stolen, and the vow she made never to feel powerless again. The vice president breaks the trance. "Security, get her out of here. This is a confidential meeting." Heavy footsteps echo in the hallway. Lucas bursts through the doorway, panic etched deep in his face. He scoops Mia into his arms. "I'm so sorry, she wandered off. He can barely breathe." "Fired," the vice president snaps. "Immediate grounds, breach of executive security, badge, now." The word lands like a falling beam. Lucas hands over his ID with shaking fingers, eyes filling as he realizes rent, groceries, and custody hopes just vanished. Mia buries her face against his neck, tears soaking his collar. Eleanor's hand rests on the shoebox as though it might anchor the room. Around her, investors clear throats and tap pens, eager to resume the numbers game. But inside her chest, something cracks, a soundless fracture she alone can hear. In the time it takes for a purple ribbon to flutter to the carpet, 3 futures pivot. A father loses his livelihood, a child's faith wobbles, and a CEO feels the first fissure in a wall she spent decades building. Above a city that worships profit, The fragile power of a single homemade gift begins its slow, unstoppable climb. Silence roars in the wake of the vice president's verdict. Security ushers Lucas and Mia toward the elevator, fluorescent vests a glaring contrast to the velvet hush of level 47. Mia peeks over her father's shoulder, eyes pleading with Eleanor as the doors close. Eleanor's hand, still resting on the shoebox, tightens until her knuckles bleach white. She slides the box toward herself, ignoring the boardroom's collective impatience. The meeting resumes, numbers float, margins rise, but every syllable slams against the wooden barricade she's built in her mind. On the table, the rag doll seems to stare at her, its crooked smile reflecting light from the projector, an accusation stitched in mismatched thread. Ms. Whitmore, an investor prods, "Your thoughts on the adjusted EBITDA?" Eleanor blinks, forces her voice to iron. "Proceed with the forecast." Yet her gaze drifts to the exit, as though she might still catch a glimpse of the little girl and the man she just condemned. Downstairs, Lucas empties his locker while an HR representative hovers, a cardboard box already prepared. He folds his spare uniform, drops in a half-used bottle of disinfectant, the photo of Mia taped to the inside door. Each item lands with a muffled thud as final as a coffin nail. Mia stands next to him, shoelaces untied, perplexed. "Did I do something wrong?" she whispers. "No, sweetheart," he answers, forcing a smile into place. "Some people just don't understand surprises." She pulls the purple ribbon from her pocket and wraps it around his wrist like a bracelet, as though a single loop of color could hold him together. In the lobby, a cluster of employees watch footage on a phone, grainy security cam images of a small girl entering the boardroom, a VP's booming command, Lucas's frantic entrance. Murmurs ripple. They fired the janitor? Over a kid's gift. Someone is already uploading it to social media. Lucas pushes through the revolving door into drizzle that smells of electricity. He carries the box in one arm, Mia in the other. Raindrops mix with tears he refuses to shed. A city bus sighs to a stop. They board, sitting near the back where the heater rattles like an anxious heart. Eleanor finally dismisses the board, waves off congratulations, and retreats to her office. She sets the shoebox on her vast desk, turns off every light but a single lamp, and lifts the lid. The rag doll weighs almost nothing, yet it pulls gravity toward it. Nestled beside the doll is a folded note in childish scrawl, "Gifts heal sadness." She traces the words, feels a shiver, then snaps the lid shut as if it might bite. Her phone vibrates, PR chief calling. Reluctantly, she answers. "We have a situation," the voice says. "A video is trending. Cold-hearted CEO fires single dad after daughter's kind act. Views climbing by the second. Stock chatter already volatile." "Handle it," she says, but the command rings hollow. She disconnects, staring at her reflection in the dark window. For the first time in years, she cannot tell if she is looking at the victor or the villain. On the bus, Mia leans against Lucas, eyelids heavy. Across the aisle, a teenager scrolls his feed, volume high. The headline blares, matching the PR chief's words verbatim. Lucas hears it, so does Mia. She looks up at her father, confusion deepening into worry. "Why are they calling you a janitor, Dad, like it's bad?" "People love simple stories," Lucas sighs. "They forget the messy parts." A camera flash outside the bus door startles them. A reporter shouts questions through the rain-streaked window. Lucas shields Mia with his coat, heart pounding. He wants to fight, clarify, defend Eleanor even, because he sensed something crack in her eyes, something more complicated than cruelty. But the bus lurches forward, and the city swallows that chance. Back in her penthouse, Eleanor stands barefoot on polished hardwood, ragdoll in hand, TV glowing with pundits dissecting her character. Threats, hashtags, boycott calls scroll across the ticker. She mutes the screen, paces to the window, and hugs the doll to her chest, the way a child clutches a comfort toy during thunder. The sky outside rumbles, mirroring the storm building in her life. And somewhere between those two windows, one fogged by bus exhaust, one gleaming over an empire, an invisible thread pulls tighter, insisting that the story is not finished, that redemption is a gift still waiting to be unwrapped. Morning light breaks, but it brings no peace. Lucas's phone buzzes so relentlessly the battery gives up by noon. Reporters, strangers offering donations, distant relatives he hasn't heard from in years, everyone wants a quote, a soundbite, a hero. He silences the device and slides it under a couch cushion where Mia can't see the relentless judgment of the world. At the kitchen table, he balances a calculator and an eviction notice that was already looming before yesterday's disaster. Rent was due in 4 days. Now it feels like 4 seconds. He clicks open the job search site on an ancient laptop, but each listing demands references he's sure will be poisoned by the words, "terminated for cause." Mia sits opposite, drawing the rag doll from memory because the real one is missing, her crayons producing a crooked grin in pink and turquoise. Every few minutes, she sneaks a glance at him, measuring the tremor under his calm. Across the city, the Bright Star boardroom is feverish. Screens show tumbling graphs, headlines screaming in ticker tape fury, share price nosedives after CEO's heartless firing. Eliner listens to a chorus of blame, the blowback for canceling the charity fund, the optics of firing a single father, the narrative that won't die. Someone suggests placing her on a compassionate sabbatical until the storm passes. She answers with a stare so cold the room drops 5 degrees. But inside, she feels a child's hand tugging at her sleeve, asking why she forgot how to smile. The PR chief lays down a glossy statement, corporate apology, promise of internal review, generic pledge to support hardworking families. It tastes like cardboard in her mouth. She sets the paper aside and lifts the rag doll from her handbag. A few board members pretend not to notice. One openly scoffs. She dismisses everyone, voice cracking just enough that the scoffer flinches. The moment the door clicks shut, the years fold back. She is 8 again, standing barefoot in a foster home hallway on Christmas Eve, clutching the only present under the tree, a teddy bear donated by strangers. She remembers the heat of ownership, then the hollow echo when it vanished from her bunk the next morning. Possessions disappear. People disappear. So she swore she would build walls taller than need and sharper than grief. But here, in her office of glass and chrome, a rag doll has pierced every barricade. She phones her driver, cancels the rest of the day, and asks for the company SUV. Alone in the backseat, she scrolls through her own public vilification. Reaction videos, think pieces, memes depicting her as an ice queen shredding children's toys. She pauses on a shaky live stream from earlier that morning. A cluster of cameras outside a brick apartment where Lucas shielded Mia with his coat, refusing to speak. The angle captures a single detail that guts her, the purple ribbon tied around his wrist. The SUV glides across bridges toward the outer boroughs. Rain has given way to raw sunlight that makes everything look honest. She pulls a pen from her purse and begins writing on the back of the PR statement, words spilling faster than she can shape them. I was wrong. I need to make this right. No team, no lawyers, just me. Lucas's landlord knocks, carrying the viral newspaper folded under his arm. He clears his throat awkwardly, offers a week's grace. Whole building's rooting for you, man. Lucas thanks him, cheeks burning with equal parts shame and gratitude. After the door closes, Mia asks if they're moving again. He kneels, draws her close. Not if I can help it. A horn honks outside. Eliner's SUV idles at the curb, windows tinted like secrets. She hesitates, hand hovering near the door handle, suddenly terrified that vulnerability might be the one meeting she cannot command. Through the windshield, she sees Lucas wiping his palms on faded jeans, steeling himself to re-enter a world that seems to have chosen him as its latest symbol. She sees Mia beyond him, taping her crayon drawing of the rag doll to the window, offering color to a sky that still looks gray. Elinor exhales, steps out, and the street seems to hold its breath. The CEO, who never arrives unannounced now, stands on cracked pavement, clutching the very doll that started the fire. Across 30 paces of sidewalk, the single dad turns, eyes widening in a mix of anger, confusion, and something that looks almost like hope. Between them floats the hum of traffic, the chatter of neighbors, and the fragile possibility that two broken pasts might yet assemble something whole. The street is quieter than it has any right to be. Lucas stands planted on the stoop, arms folded, trying to decide if anger or exhaustion will speak first. Elinor takes 3 tentative steps forward, rag doll visible against her charcoal coat, its button eyes reflecting the afternoon glare. "I came to apologize," she begins, words nearly lost in the hiss of a passing bus. Not the corporate kind, the real kind. Lucas's jaw flexes. Most real apologies don't fire someone first. Mia appears at the doorway, curiosity outweighing fear. She notices the doll in Elinor's hands, recognition blooming like sunrise. "You kept it," she murmurs. Elinor kneels so they're eye level. "I did. It reminded me of something I'd forgotten." Her voice trembles. "When I was your age, I lived in a foster home. Christmas Eve, there was one present for all 6 of us, a teddy bear. I loved it for maybe an hour before it disappeared. After that, I decided never to need gifts, never to need anyone." She glances at Lucas. "Turns out that decision cost more than I realized." Lucas softens just enough to hear the unpracticed honesty. "Why come here? PR damage control." She shakes her head. "This is off script. I told them I had a migraine." A wan smile. "Technically true." Wind lifts her hair, revealing how tired she is beneath the precision. She offers the rag doll to Mia. "This belongs with you." Mia hugs it, purple ribbon bracelet brushing Elinor's wrist. The small touch jolts them both. Lucas clears his throat. "We're, in the middle of lunch prep. Mac and cheese." He pauses, surprised at himself. "You can come up if you're not allergic to ordinary food." Elinor hesitates. Years of instinct scream that vulnerability is ambush terrain, but something stronger whispers that walls are already rubble. She nods. "I'd like that." The stairwell smells of boiled pasta and yesterday's detergent. Elinor's heels click against chipped concrete, foreign music, in a building used to work boots and baby strollers. On the landing, she notices eviction notices taped to 2 other doors, realities she's only seen in spreadsheets. Inside, the apartment is neat but threadbare, hand-me-down couch, thrift store curtains, walls brightened by Mia's crayon galaxies. Steam curls from a pot on the stove while Lucas drains noodles into a dented colander. "Sorry for the mess," he mumbles. "It's home," she replies, surprised at the warmth in her voice. Mia sets the rag doll at the table, propping it upright with a juice box as if the toy might join the conversation. Elinor's gaze lingers on the juice, memories flooding, watered-down punch at group home parties, the craving to feel chosen. A flash of that empty stocking, just a strip of red felt pinned to a wall, burns her eyes. She blinks it away, refusing to let tears fall before she earns them. Lucas spoons macaroni onto mismatched plates. Silence hovers until he finally asks, "What now? An apology doesn't pay rent." "I know," Elinor says. "I can't erase what happened, but I can start making it right. If you'll let me explain a plan after we eat." She half expects resistance, but Lucas just hands her a fork. Food first, plans later, house rule. She accepts the utensil, its plastic handle faded from dish soap scrubbing. An unexpected ease settles over her, like standing barefoot on real ground after years in elevator shoes. As they sit, Mia bows her head and says a quick, earnest thanks for surprises that turn out good in the end. Elinor's stomach twists. She hopes to deserve that prayer. Forks scrape plates. Steam fogs the small kitchen window. Outside, reporters search for the next outrage, stock tickers jitter on office screens, and Brightstar's board debates contingencies. But in this cramped room, a CEO, a single dad, and a 7-year-old share macaroni under a flickering light, the first fragile threads of trust knotting between them, threads spun from childhood loss, courageous innocence, and the rag doll that refused to be just another forgotten toy. Forks slow as appetites fade and conversation begins to fill the space. Lucas sets his plate aside, rubbing the ring-shaped mark the purple ribbon has left on his wrist. "Thank you for coming," he says, voice hoarse. "I didn't think anyone from that floor even knew this neighborhood existed." Eliner fingers the rim of her water glass. "For a long time, I tried not to know." Mia leans forward, elbows on the table like a pint-sized diplomat. "Daddy says when people know better, they do better." She tilts the rag doll toward Eliner as if the toy is waiting for an answer. Lucas exhales a humorless laugh. "I told her that the night my wife passed. So far, I'm still working on it." The confession drops like a pebble into deep water, ripples thinning the air. Eliner says nothing at first, only watches the steam drifting from the colander, remembering hospital corridors, remembering how she once held the hand of a foster sister who never made it to adoption day. Finally, she speaks. "I was cruel. I can blame pressure, optics, a dozen other things, but it was still cruelty. And it cost you more than a job." Lucas nods toward a manila folder on the counter, a court emblem stamped in blue. "Custody review in 6 weeks. Judge wants proof of stable income." He forces a shrug. "That was the plan anyway." Eliner's eyes track the folder as though it's a ticking device she's partly responsible for arming. What if there were a different plan? Brightstar isn't exactly eager to see me on payroll. I own 51%. Brightstar does what I decide it should do. Lucas raises an eyebrow. "So you just rehire the janitor you fired on camera and call it redemption?" "No," she straightens, energy returning like current to a severed wire. "I don't want you cleaning floors anymore. Your resume says you studied supply chain before everything changed." Lucas snorts. "A semester and a half before diapers changed." "Then finish it, join the company in logistics. I'll cover tuition. Full salary, full benefits, starting now." Silence again, but this time it's stunned, not awkward. The faucet drips in slow applause. Mia swings her feet under the chair. "Could Daddy help make happy toys? Like, make sure they get to the places that need them?" Eliner's gaze lands on the juice box prop holding the doll upright. "That's exactly what I was thinking. We restart the charity Drive the Board cut. Buy one, give one. We call it Brightstar Promise." She scratches numbers on a napkin, mind already stitching routes, budgets, impact statements. Lucas handles distribution. Who better to know every hidden hallway of this city? Lucas stares at the napkin as though it's a lottery ticket. "Your investors will chew you alive." "Then let them," she answers, eyes blazing now. "I built this company to give joy, but somewhere I let fear run it. Fear of margins, fear of loss." She looks at Mia. "A little girl reminded me what the first star on our logo meant. You light someone else's sky." Mia's face blooms, cheeks flushed with triumph. She lifts the rag doll in a wobbly toast. "To fixing sadness." Lucas swallows hard, extends his hand across chipped laminate. "I don't understand how any of this will actually work, but thank you." Eliner clasps his hand. Her grip is firm, unpolished by legal counsel, and for the first time all day she feels steady. "We'll figure the details out together." Outside, a siren wails past and fades, the city resuming its chaotic rhythm. Inside, 3 people sit at a kitchen table no architect would notice, drafting the blueprint for something impossible. An alliance between penthouse power and basement perseverance, bound by a rag doll no one can put a price on. In that brief hush after the handshake, each of them senses the turning of a page. The story, rewritten in real time, still smelling of macaroni and courage. The next morning, the security guard who once barked at Luca's nearly forgets to scan Alina's badge. She walks beside Luca's through the marble lobby, no escort, no entourage, just two co-conspirators shoulder to shoulder. Murmurs trail them like ripples after a stone. Is that the janitor? What's happening? In the executive suite, board members rise in staggered disbelief as Alina enters with Luca's at her side. She doesn't sit. Gentlemen, ladies, this is Lucas Reed, Brightstar's new director of community logistics. Our first order of business, reinstating and tripling the charity program. A CFO sputters about shareholder revolt. Alina counters, we lost more in market cap yesterday than this initiative costs for a decade. Goodwill is profitable. She nods to Lucas. Explain the distribution plan. Lucas clears his throat, opens a blueprint he drafted at 2 a.m. on Mia's construction paper. Every warehouse within 100 miles sits near neighborhoods like mine. We can leverage unused nighttime dock slots, partner with shelters, churches, freight companies willing to donate off-peak runs. His former janitorial ID hangs visibly at his belt. Somehow it gives him credibility instead of shame. An investor tries to interrupt. Alina raises a hand. Let him finish. By the time Lucas does, skeptical faces have softened into curious ones. The board votes 8-3 in favor. The dissenters leave in offended silence. No one follows. News travels faster than payouts. Brightstar promised trends against yesterday's boycott hashtag. Each retweet a spark along a wire Alina once believed was cut. PR experts battle for credit, internet cynics hunt for flaws, but the louder noise is the swelling cheer of parents posting selfies holding order confirmations. Buy one, give one, my kid just helped another kid smile. Weeks compress into a montage of motion. Lucas trades his mop for a clipboard and neon safety vest. He prowls loading docks with the fluency of a man who knows every squeaky hinge. Former night shift buddies salute him, surprised and proud. He hires 2 of them on the spot. Mia sits at a drafting tablet in a corner of Alina's glass office, knees tucked beneath her like a tiny monk, designing a logo, the rag doll hugging a 5-point star. Alina watches her, blinking back something that looks suspiciously like tears. Televisions in the lobby show stock tickers inching upward again, tethered to video loops of semi-trailers leaving warehouses, each painted with Mia's logo. Reporters swarm these launches, expecting to uncover hypocrisy, but keep capturing small miracles. Children in shelters shrieking as plush bears spill from boxes, parents in hurricane-ravaged towns weeping over unexpected gifts. Viral clips of gratitude drown out cynicism with something louder: joy. One evening, Lucas stands in the center of a cavernous fulfillment center, forklifts humming around him. A supervisor hands him a clipboard to sign, pauses. Heard you were janitorial last month. Gives the rest of us hope, man. Lucas signs, throat tight. Across the floor, Alina consults with a freight manager, voice firm but kind. She has swapped designer heels for steel-toed boots, claiming no point breaking an ankle on altruism. She catches Lucas watching, and for a heartbeat they just grin at each other, 2 survivors discovering what partnership looks like. That night, they host a live stream at the flagship warehouse. Rows of employees, janitors, executives, volunteers, all in matching Brightstar Promise tees, count down the final pallet. Lucas lifts Mia onto his shoulders so she can place the original rag doll atop the mountain of boxes. Microphones catch her whisper, "Mom, this one's for you." Millions of viewers hear it. Hundreds of thousands type crying face emojis in real time. Alina steps to the camera, voice steady. When you buy a gift, you vote for the world you believe in. Tonight, 1 million children will open a box that proves someone believes in them. She turns unexpectedly to Lucas. And sometimes the right person for the job is the person who's been walking your halls all along. The feed explodes with hearts. The stock closes higher than it ever did under her ruthless cost-cutting. But in the quiet after the cameras power down, what matters is smaller. Luca's signing a scholarship acceptance aliner sneaked into his jacket pocket, Mia asleep against her dad's chest beneath the glow of warehouse LEDs, and Alina realizing she feels lighter than she has since the day the foster home teddy bear went missing. Outside, night stretches across the city, windows blinking like scattered stars. Somewhere, a child hugs a newly opened plush bear, not knowing the story behind it, only the unmistakable warmth of being remembered. And that, Alina thinks, is margin enough. Christmas Eve drapes the warehouse in electric hush. Volunteers buzz between gift mountains while cameras stream live. Luca's, wearing a new Bright Star jacket, lifts drowsy Mia as Alina steps forward in a red parka. 1 million gifts, she announces, 1 million reasons to believe. The crowd erupts. Mia presses a remote, the convoy's trucks ignite, forming a river of stars that rolls into the night. Reporters cheer, forklifts honk. Luca's whispers, somewhere a child is opening hope. Alina watches taillights fade, tears warming winter air. For the first time, profit follows generosity, not the other way around, ever recorded tonight. The loading dock lights dim, leaving 3 silhouettes against settling snow. Luca's sets sleeping Mia into her car seat, ribbon still bright on his wrist. Alina hands him an envelope, scholarship papers, and a note. Keep the promise. He whispers thanks, voice cracking. They share an unguarded smile, proof that power and humility can coexist. Above, trucks fade into constellations of taillights, carrying more than toys, they haul possibility. Narrator, one gift redirected destinies, reminding us that kindness compounds like interest, quiet, unstoppable. Give once, watch hope travel farther than any quarterly report ever will. Share it and light the world anew.